There wasn't like a life event, but it was just sort of a knowledge in me that from my experience prior to my training as an engineer, nothing that I learned as an engineer rang true with anything I had experienced with technology before. And then this is what education does, right? It really focuses you on specifics and makes you an expert in an area, but it also abstracts it away from the real world. And I realized that I wanted to bring that back. I wanted to make those links between quality of life and technology rather than just how do I get this small part of a technology to work. So that was actually my first research project as an undergrad in this area. And I was very interested in the Amish because, first of all, I found out the stereotype that most Americans have wasn't true. They're not quote-unquote anti-technology. What I found is that the Amish actually make deliberate decisions about which technologies to use and which not to use. And they base this not on our sort of idea of progress that faster and cheaper and more efficient is better, but on which technologies will strengthen our community. And I was really at sort of that stage of my education looking for examples in a group of people that actually didn't say more technology is automatically better, but rather said, what technologies do we want to make this world a better place? And that's not the kind of questions that were being asked in engineering. And the fact that the Amish asked these questions really drew me to study them further. There's a couple different ways. There's an academic bent to the field that occasionally rediscovers something that we forgot existed. So for a little while in the field of technology studies, user studies was really important. We've got 30, 40 years of writing how corporations shape the technology we have. And finally a few people sat back and realized, the people who use the technology shape the technology as well. And we should really be studying that. Which is, on the one hand, kind of obvious. I mean, it's obvious that you and I might use the same technology in different ways, and that might be important. It took academics a little while to figure this out, but it's really important because what it does is it really stresses how you and I as individuals actually we're empowered by this research. We're reminded that no, you actually do have the ability to use things in a different way than the company wants you to use them. And that may be actually beneficial for you. And the other big way that it's changing, I think, and especially here at ASU, is what are the practical, important aspects of this research? That's a good question. Is there a rightful place of science? I think asking the question is almost more important than coming up with a definitive answer. I think that we sort of assume that we know, but when we actually look at it closely, we probably don't. At least the actions that we're doing today, the way that funding is distributed, sort of has an implicit goal of what the rightful place of science is. And I think most scientists think they know, but my suspicion is that if we as a society began to consider this question, things would look a lot different than they do now. I mean, on some level, I don't think there can be. I mean, not politics. I think that, we as Americans need to have a say in the direction that science goes. Sure. I think what Obama was trying to get across in that statement is the idea that we shouldn't throw out data or focus on data based on our politics. But certainly, we should, as a country, should have a say in, I really think that I want my tax dollars to be paying for research that affects problems that affect me, or that affects problems that affect important people, or affects problems that the disadvantaged have to deal with. And I think that's where politics enters and should enter into science. Going with a fine-tooth tone and getting rid of what you call objectivity, I think that's very dangerous. But at the same time, politics must direct where we put our money.